I can guarantee it's going to work. You got to trust the process. How am I going to get my next client? As in, I can get it, but I don't know how I'm going to get there. So I was thinking this is like a weight off my shoulders. I don't have to learn a new kind of product every day or new service every day. You're obviously invested in us and you want us to do well. She couldn't stop thanking me that I reached out to her.
Shayan, welcome. I've been looking forward to having this conversation with you. If you don't mind sharing a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how we ended up on this conversation, just for the benefit of those who might be watching or listening wherever they are.
Yeah, so my name's Shayan. I've been in your kind of, what do you call it, mentorship for about, I think, 6 months now. We're coming up to 6 months. Been in recruitment for around or coming up to 3 years now, 2.5 years. Didn't have any recruitment experience before that. Opened up my own recruitment agency with zero recruitment experience. So I worked in, you can say, tech sales before. So I'd done an apprenticeship. From there, I transitioned into basically a full-time role in what I was doing. I was working for quite a big company, so I think nearly 7 years I was working with them from the age of 18 to 25. Then kind of transition into recruitment. I know it's really random, and every time I kind of mention it, even to my clients or whatever, not the first thing they ask is like, "How did you stumble across that?" The answer is I've been seeing it during COVID. I was just seeing a few stuff about recruitment, how it is as a business model, how simple it could be, and it was kind of where I was at a crossroads where I could have carried on my career in kind of tech sales, which I didn't enjoy at the time. That was more to do with the company and the people and whatnot rather than the actual industry. But I was at a crossroads where I always wanted to run my own business, and I never saw it as something that would have been feasible just because of the industry I was in. Like, if I open up my own kind of tech products or tech service, then yeah, brilliant. I couldn't see how I'd do that. So yeah, it was kind of a thing where I was like, recruitment sounds good, it's a decent business model. I was doing a very technical role. So I was thinking this is like a weight off my shoulders. I don't have to learn a new kind of product every day or new service every day. It's quite kind of commercial rather than focus on the technicalities of products and services and that. So I kind of transitioned like that, and yeah, here I am 2.5 years later.
Still in the game, still in the game. But there was one part which is like the aspiring entrepreneur. I'm sure you've been asked this question. How the heck did it end up in recruitment?
Yeah, so I didn't have any specific kind of aims or goals in terms of I want to do a business in X, or I want to do a business in X. It was just that I want to be kind of my own boss, see how it is, and then kind of go from there. It's not something where I was like, recruitment's the one. It's just something I kind of stumbled across, to be honest. And I was like, you know what, this actually makes sense. I think when if you were to tell anyone that isn't in business, you're going to start a business, what you're going to start in, I don't think a lot of them will actually give an answer. Or they'll probably say a restaurant or something that they see quite often in their day to day. But if you ask them how they're going to run it, they'll probably have no idea. I think that's how it was, where I wanted to start a business sometime in my life. Wasn't sure it was going to be then. But as I said, I kind of encountered that crossroad where I was like, this is the time. I was still living with my parents at the time. Well, I still am, but I wasn't married, didn't have much responsibility in terms of that. So I was like, if there's time to take a risk, it's now. Yeah, that was the kind of mentality behind it.
I'm glad you took it when you did, because I was married with a baby on the way when I did it. So
yeah, that's what I was trying to avoid, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't recommend it for anyone. Just going into it a little bit more then. So you came from this techie background. You decided you want to be an entrepreneur. You then set up the business. You were at it for the best part of 2.5 years, at least, before we started talking, right?
2 years, yeah. 2 years.
Okay, 2 years. Can you describe to me like what that experience was like? Tell me like from the beginning how you got going, some of the challenges.
Yeah, so as you know, where I started and got my foundations of recruitment was through a course, obviously not yours, through someone else. And that done what it said on the tin. Like, it was an A to Z of recruitment, what to do, how to start it out, etc., etc. I participated in that course and kind of went from there. And it was, as I said, it done what it said on the tin. It gave you the foundations, gave me the ability to know exactly, okay, if I do this, this, and this, I'm going to get this, and this is how I do this, this, and this. And I can always refer back to it and whatnot. However, yeah, you mentioned like when we spoke, and I think when we spoke, I was doing that same kind of foundational stuff kind of 2 years in. and not really seeing that kind of growth or like where my next step will be. I think it was fine for like 0 to 2 years, me knowing, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and that's how I'm going to build it up to this. But when I kind of completed that, it wasn't clear as to how now I was going to now push on. And I think when I came across you, I think we spoke a couple of times before we actually done some work together. But when I came across you, it was kind of clear what you were kind of offering, and it was more, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to like work with basically people who have no idea what recruitment is, or just kind of, I wouldn't say novices, but yeah, you can teach that as well. But it was more like, I'm going to kind of offer you something where you can scale every month and you can get to this. And it's not just kind of a basic way to do it. It was something where I know you offer a lot, like in terms of working less hours, earning more, which of course sounds brilliant. But you know, any course seller can say that, right? But I think how you done it, showing exactly how you're going to get there, was something that I was really interested in, and I think made sense for where I was in my business at the time.
Amazing. Does that mean you think the support and everything that I provide is not suitable for novices? Or do you think otherwise? I'm really open to feedback, by the way.
No, I don't think that's the case. I think you can do both. I think, would I recommend, if there was two people, one who has zero recruitment experience and another who has, let's say, 2 or 3 years, I think it's easier to kind of have some experience beforehand, but that just works in terms of how quickly you are to adapt and take on the kind of information you give. I think I know we spoke about it yesterday a bit, where it's like spending time talking about the basics of recruitment. I'm talking literally, what is a candidate, what is a client. You can do that, but to get the most out of you and your team, I think it's very important to have that kind of basics already, where you can now ask more advanced questions. Like anyone can teach, you can teach a kid how to kick a ball, but when they get to 3, 4, 5 years, you might need to send them to a football coach now. And I think that is the difference between the two. It's hard to say because obviously I wasn't a beginner or a novice when I joined your course. It wasn't as if I had that mentality going into it. So I didn't think, oh, if I didn't know anything, I just, with what I knew, I was okay, I'm going to take this on board and whatnot. So it's hard to say, to be honest. I think it's fine for both parties. I just think to get the most out of what you can offer, I think I would recommend someone to at least know kind of the basics of it, so you're not wasting that time, because the basics of it can be found. Well, to be honest, don't you offer a free basics course on YouTube? I don't know if that's still available.
Yeah.
That's still available. Yeah. So that, if you've done that before actually contacting you and going through it, I think that's perfect. I think that's all you need, to be honest, because I looked through that a bit. I didn't go through the whole thing because obviously be wasting my time going through the basics of it. What is a candidate? How do you get clients, etc. But if you were to go through that and then kind of join with you, I think that's a perfect kind of roadmap for it.
I think that's the idea that I was aiming for from the beginning, which is that if somebody literally has no understanding of recruitment or anything like that, then all the resources are there on YouTube. And if you are thinking about getting my help, it's probably best that you go through some of my YouTube content, and then when you're ready for implementation, that's where I come in. Because like you said, there's a load of resources. I think there's a lot of groundwork, just like the football example that you give. Like, it really helps if somebody knows how to tie their shoelace before they start playing. That's basically the YouTube content. So okay, fair play. So did you hang around on my YouTube channel for a while before you made contact?
Yeah, I would say, well, to be fair, as I said, we did speak, I think, initially when you kind of started your social media kind of presence. I think we spoke very briefly. I mean, actually had a call, I think, but at the time it didn't make sense for kind of both of us, to be honest, to work with each other. And I think kind of was clear that was the case. But yeah, like now I knew I was following you on your social media accounts and whatnot. And yeah, I watched your videos a lot, actually. And I think in terms of the ones that helped the most were kind of the ones of what we're doing now. And it's funny, like being on the other side of it now after watching them, and spent like, obviously usually they're like an hour or two, and you've got about, correct me if I'm wrong, like 6 or 7 now, but like at the start it was maybe 2 or 3. And yeah, I watched them, and I think it gave a good kind of insight into, I think because they've been in my shoes before, it was like, okay, he's helped like this, and there's very specifics on how he's helped. That was my situation before, this is my situation now. And I was like, well, it makes sense, to kind of reach out to you, because that's the exact kind of issues I was facing at the time.
So during that moment where, this is like before we actually made contact and you were hanging around on my social media, what was going through your head where you felt like, you know what, this is what I need help on, and now I'm going to make contact?
What was going through my head? I would say it was a lot to do with the kind of client side of it, where I think kind of putting my mind back to then, my mentality then, it was a lot to do with how am I going to get my next client? As in, I can get it, but I don't know how I'm going to get there. Another football reference, like you're not the biggest fan, but you know I am. And it's like there's patterns of play where you have to kind of get a goal where you can see, for example, like Man City, let's say, you know they're going to score like this. They're going to try and score the same way nearly every time, but because of the quality, they're going to get the end result. But there's some teams where you don't know if they're going to score, and there's no real identity. You don't know how they're going to get there. And with me, I think it was two of those things where I was like, am I even going to get another client? And then two, how am I going to get there? What do I know when I wake up in the morning? Okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, or am I just going to scattergun it and hope for the best? So yeah, it was that kind of approach, and also a clear roadmap on this is how you do it. It might not work every time, but if you keep doing this, I can guarantee it's going to work. You got to trust the process, and then hopefully get something at the end. But the way I was doing it was I knew I needed a process, didn't know what the best process was, tried a lot of different processes, and needed someone to kind of be like, this is it, it's worked for me, it's worked for others, it's going to work for you as well. And that's kind of how I went about it.
How long were you in that zone where you felt like, okay, cool, I know what I'm doing from a foundational perspective, I know how to get a client, but I don't know when or how or when the next one's going to come through? How long were you like in that state for?
Well, I would say probably from the start of my recruitment journey. I think I mentioned to you yesterday how like my first client came very quickly, and then I didn't get one. Sorry, my first placement, my first two placements actually came very quickly from the same client. I thought, oh, this is easy. So from then, I was probably not worried about my process, because I was like, well, this process seems to be working brilliantly. And I think then when there was a gap between my first two placements and the next one, quite a big gap. Well, compared to how small the first kind of between me starting and me getting my first placement, I think yeah, it was then where I was like, okay, one, this is not as easy as I thought. Two, it might have just been a bit of might have just been a bit of luck. And three, I need a proper process to kind of do this. And I think realizing something's broken and then actually thinking that it might need to be fixed is two different things. And it takes time to realize that something might be broken, and it takes time to realize that you might not be the one to fix it. Yeah, it was a period. I think it was quite a fair period between all of that.
So just touching on the human side of it, how did it feel in that moment? Like, were you like losing sleep over it? Were you feel like, okay, I don't know what's going on here? Were you panic mode? Like, tell me what was it, just from the human side of it, what did that feel like?
Yeah, I think the human side of it, obviously you have a bit of panic where you're like, okay, is it going to come? Is it not? And I think you're not a good recruiter when or you're not a good salesperson in general when you're banking on that one placement to come in or that one client to give you a role. So if you don't know when your next one is coming in, I think it affects your performance even with the clients you already have. So I was obviously desperation kicks in, and you're kind of like, no, I need this placement, and you can act as natural and cool as possible, but sometimes it just comes out. So yeah, I would say like I wouldn't say losing sleep, because I feel like I can sleep quite well anyway, but it's something that obviously was a worry in my head. Obviously something that stressed me out a bit, but I just take every day as it comes, and I didn't know any better. So I thought, okay, yeah, this is just how it is. It's a long, hard graft. But yeah, I think it was stressful not knowing what tomorrow is, next week, in a month, 6 months, like that.
Was there a trigger in your mind at any moment in time where you felt like, you know what, that's it, like I've had enough of this, I need to change?
I don't think there was one trigger. I think it's something. I'm not someone who acts on impulse. I don't think, I don't, when something goes wrong, I don't react to it and then think about the consequences afterwards. Like, it wasn't something where something went wrong and I called you straight away and I was like, you need to sort this out, mate. It's not that. Like we've spoken in the last few months, and it's like when things have gone wrong, I'm quite sure about it, even if it's losing me thousands of pounds. It's something where I'm just like, it is what it is. Like, I know I am doing everything to make sure that this is done. Whatever happens, kind of thing.
When were you losing thousands of pounds, by the way?
During the last few months. What I think one example is I could just think is when like I don't know if I mentioned this to you. I think I did on one of the calls, that there was a candidate who said yes, like in every stage was fine with it, and then like there was something in the back of my mind where I was like, he's not 100% for this. So I thought, okay, when the offer letter came in, again, there was nothing from him. Said, yeah, I'm fine, this, that. I had a call with him, and tone just completely changed. Yeah, he dropped out, and it was kind of like, at the time, this is what I'm saying, where I don't think I stress about it. I just think, okay, how can I resolve this? And then I'll stress about it afterwards, kind of thing. And yeah, he dropped out. after dragging it along for 3, 4 interviews. And thankfully, I found someone really quickly after that, and they interviewed straight away. They done their second stage straight away, and their third stage after that. It was only a matter of like 15 working days, 16 working days from when he dropped out to someone actually getting another offer. And then thankfully, look, she's a brilliant candidate, to be honest. I'm really really thankful. And she wasn't in a role at that time. And from what her previous salary was, it was like 30% increase in what she was getting. So like, just from a human side, and this is where I think people see recruitment as like, oh, you're just getting people jobs, and they see us in a slimy at times or whatnot. And it's like something like that where she couldn't stop thanking me that I reached out to her, and like that I changed her, not life, but how she's living, and she can support this person, she can support this person. And that really gives me so much kind of satisfaction. Like, obviously the money is one thing, but knowing that you've impacted someone like that, you can put a price on that.
Yeah, I think it's worth touching on that. It's really nice that you shared that part of it, because even right at the beginning when we first started talking, and I remember saying to you, look, this is business at the end of the day. There's always things that go up and down. And I think you just gave an example of things where you thought things were going right, and then you weren't too sure if they were, and then you began to doubt it, and then they went south, and then you turned it back around as well. I think it's worth just complimenting you on your resilience as well, because I think regardless of what stage you're at in your business, there's always going to be hurdles. And this was one hurdle that you faced, and you jumped over it and just carried on running. I think it's worth just complimenting you on that, and just saying that, hey, look, yes, it is inevitable that you're going to run into some challenges, but it's more about how you think it through and how you're going to get around it. And in this case, you got around it. And in future, yeah, there's going to be more challenges and hurdles that come along, but having that kind of frame of mind where you remove the emotional aspect of it and you just say, okay, cool, what do I need to do to put this right? And then you put it right. That's what works best.
No, 100%. I think I never always used to be like this, to be honest. Something I had to learn, right? And that's through being in these situations before and not really letting it get to you. Because you've got to think really logically, and you've got to be like, well, what's going to happen if I just sit down and cry and feel sorry for myself? What is actually going to happen if I say, or if I complain to you and I say, Mohammed, this happened and I done everything you said and it still didn't happen. Well, do you know what? Things, I don't know if this is a swear word, but shit happens. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it happens. You got to just take it on the chin and then carry on. Like, that's business at the end of the day. That's life at the end of the day. Nothing's going to happen exactly how you want to, because if that was the case, then everyone will live a perfect life, right? So, yeah, I think a lot of obviously we speak to a few people in our group and whatnot, and I see that sometimes where it's like they're panicking. They're like, yeah, but I've done this, and this. Nothing's happened, or this hasn't happened. It's like, just take your time. Take a breather. Nothing in life is guaranteed except death and taxes. Nothing in life is guaranteed. So take a breather. Know that you're doing everything that you can in that situation to make the outcome as good as possible, and then see, give it at least 2 weeks, a month, whatever it is, and it will come. But then also you have to hold yourself accountable. Are you doing everything that you can? If the answer is yeah, but, then it's a no, isn't it? Yeah, I'm doing this, but not that. Just straight no. You have to be really honest with yourself. When it comes to business, and especially when you're a kind of solopreneur, like most of the guys in our group, you have to keep yourself accountable, otherwise no one else is going to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, completely agree with you on that. Looking back at this dropout that you had, would you say that was like the toughest moment of your career in recruitment so far, or were there other harder moments?
There were harder moments, definitely, because at least I had a placement and I had the finish line was there, right? I think I would say the hardest ones were probably like when I didn't even qualify for the race, let alone nearly finished it. So I think like some of the hardest ones were there, but there's so many different ones. I think when you like where you are at your stage of your business, there's going to be challenges that I've never come across, right? So when I started, there were different challenges. When like now, it's completely different challenges. Like if I told myself when I was 1 month in that I had a dropout for placement fee of X, and you can't just go fill that with someone else, and I'm there crying over it, I know I'd be fuming myself. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's a dream. Like, you've got a placement, you've got a client, and he's one of the biggest clients in the world. Like, of course you can kind of feel that, and when you feel that, and that's it. So I think it was one of the most annoying times, because I don't like when people are dishonest, because I feel, because I've been on the candidate side before, where obviously I've been approached by recruiters and whatnot, and I think one of the reasons I wanted to get into recruitment, or a kind of motivation to get into recruitment, was that I wanted to be a bit different to what I've experienced, where recruiters are sometimes, I wouldn't say not honest, but maybe exaggerate the truth maybe they, like when you're speaking to them, sometimes it's like, even though what's coming out of your mouth is personable, I can't actually connect with you. Like, I'm not connecting with you on the human level. It's more you're speaking to me, and I know you see me as a product rather than a person. So yeah, that was something that I really tried to implement day to day when I'm speaking to people, my candidates, my clients, whoever they are. And I thought I'd done that with this guy. And we actually built a great relationship with the candidate. We spoke about football. He was Brazilian, so we spoke about Brazilian football, and we even spoke like on the weekends just about football games and how his family was, and he went into depth about his family, etc. And then and the whole time he was kind of being dishonest about how much he wanted a role. So obviously that hurt on the personal level, but overall, yeah, you're going to get challenges like that every day. It's just different kinds of challenges rather than ranking them to like worst, best, or whatnot. Because I've never experienced something like that. So it was just a different challenge rather than like the worst I've experienced.
Okay. Is there anything that you've learned from that experience where going forward it's like you're not going to come across that? Because one thing that I spotted when you were sharing it was you said that you had a gut feeling this wasn't going as planned, and you probably got some indicators along the way. I know I've shared some advice on how to properly qualify a candidate and some of the signals that you want to be looking out for. But besides that, is there anything that you've taken away from that experience where you're like, okay, I'm never going to be in that situation ever again?
Yeah, no, I made a few mistakes, like, and I think on a call we spoke about it, and you were like, "Have you done this and this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've done this, but that is probably something that I missed out on." And I'm very self-critical, where I would try and like make sure that, as I said, like I've done my absolute most to kind of do this, and I couldn't say that was the case. I maybe done about 95%, but that 5% that I missed out on, that was the key. That was something where I should have really qualified. And I think that 5% that slipped through the net, that was the difference maker.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was. I would say the 5% was kind of his motivation for leaving. Like, I think even though he had motivation for leaving, I should have realized that it wasn't enough motivation to leave. He was, and also, to be honest, it wasn't the motivation. It was more, so the reasoning he gave was he was new to the country, and obviously moving roles this early, it wasn't something that he was prepared to do because he just thought it was a bit of a risk. He thought, I have to start my notice period again. Sorry, I have to start my probation period again. Like, let's say they let me go in the first 3 months. I'm now in a new country without a role, let's say. So I should have realized that that was of real importance to him. And either, even though I tried to kind of ease his fears, and I did like throughout, I should have realized that that was going to happen regardless. That was something that he did mention like at the beginning, but it was something that he was like, "Oh, but I'm sure it'll be fine," kind of thing. Like, I'll speak to my wife, it'll be fine. And it was keeping like, I'm going to speak to my wife, I want to speak to my wife, I want to speak to my wife. And it's like, okay, it's been a month. You live with the woman. Like, how many conversations do you want with her? Yeah, so that's just me being really self-critical. Yeah.
You should be though. Like we always say, like you mentioned earlier, like there's a lot of things that can happen and there's a lot of moving parts. So if you're self-critical, then it'll just make you more aware and you can be more critical of your own work and you can make sure that you learn from and improve on everything that you're doing. So now you realizing what you missed out on and how deep you went into the conversation with the candidate ultimately help you realize that, okay, I'm not going to have that problem ever again. Because if somebody points something out that, okay, this is one of my little worries, we don't move forward until that worry is sorted.
No, 100%, you're right.
Circling back though, how did you first come across me, by the way?
Instagram.
And what were your initial thoughts when we first spoke? Well, yeah, just from like first conversation, what were your initial thoughts then, just from like looking at my content and everything else?
I think at the time when we first spoke, you didn't have much content. It was only a couple of Instagram videos and whatnot. Maybe I think a YouTube video. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it was right at the beginning of your kind of social media journey, and kind of how you come across. It wasn't like, I think it was more the conversation that we had. And it was very clear that you weren't as well, even though, of course, we're all salespeople, but you weren't trying to sell me a course. It was like, let's see if we're right for each other, and then kind of go through it like that. And I think that proved because we both said we weren't right for each other at the time. And then we kind of reconnected, and there was no pressure. It was like, okay, well, if this is the case and you're on this stage, I don't really think maybe I can help you. But let's see in a few months when you've sorted out X, let's see if we can reconnect. I'll be happy to go through that again. So yeah,
I think I say that to pretty much everybody on the call. It's like, but whenever I speak to anybody, just because you want to work with me and you've got money doesn't mean that I'm gonna take a payment
Yeah.
and then off we go. It's like we need to have a conversation to make sure that we're going to see some results, and it's on the condition that I feel confident, then we get going. So I appreciate you sharing that, because I think sometimes it can come across. I think sometimes people might have an impression that this is like a super high pressured sales kind of approach, but it's not. Like, we just have a conversation, and if it makes sense to do it something, then we'll do it, and if it doesn't, then we'll part ways. But that's not an invitation for anybody to like just start applying and wasting everybody's time. Well, let's just see what this is like. Look, do your own research, do your own due diligence. Like, when you feel like you're ready to take the step, then it's worth having a conversation. Up until that point, it's just pointless.
Yeah, don't waste your time as well. Like, I think, like, when you know it's something you can help with, then have a conversation with Mohammed. If not, then there's no point in wasting your time. Don't think you're gonna get, and this is nothing on you, Mohammed, as if like you're not willing to give advice, but don't think that you're gonna jump on an hour call with him and it'll sort out your recruitment business without you actually having to kind of go through with the group. I know people think like that, and they're like, yeah, if I can get some sort of golden nuggets out of him. That's not how life works. I don't think you can, even if you got some, even if you receive some nuggets, you won't know how to use them. Yeah, don't waste your time on that, to be honest.
Okay. What about when you started working with me? Did you have any fears or challenges, any thoughts that were going through like while you're actually working?
No fears. Challenge, of course. I was buzzing, to be honest, at the start, because I was like, you set a clear roadmap. And I know it's, again, like people who sell courses and sell dreams, I would say sometimes it's like you're selling that dream. You're like, yeah, if you do this and this, and you'll reach here. However, this was clear how if you've done this and this, you'll reach this. And the only way it's not going to work is if you don't put the work in. And I think there's a lot of emphasis on that, because don't think that this is a silver bullet. You're just gonna hands in the back of your head, and you're gonna be chilling on some beach for the first 6 months of this course, and you're gonna get like 10k a month, 20k a month. It's just not gonna happen like that. There's work that needs to get put into this. Admittedly, I wouldn't say that I've done as much as I should, but then that's up to the individual, right? That's up to the individual how much they want to put in, because how much you put in is how much you get out.
I felt like every 2 months you were telling me you were going on holiday.
No, it's yeah, literally. Thing is, the holiday stuff is obviously it's a little joke between me and you, but
Yeah.
I think that's the thing is it's spacing it out. I think everyone knows how they work. Like I mentioned to you yesterday, like I think the brain always needs something to look forward to. And I think, for example, if I knew like I'm going through these winter months with nothing to look forward to at the end of it, I'm just like, I mean, you're not really motivated. But if you know, like, for example, as you know, I went for a few days, I went to Albania. But before that, I was like, okay, these 2-3 weeks, I need to flat out work as hard as I can. If I didn't have that Albanian trip in a month, I might have just been like, oh, no, I'm going to be here on the fourth, on that fourth week. Let's just plain sell and kind of go with the flow kind of thing. So,
So do you set that for yourself as a target, like for each milestone? Like, I'm going to achieve this, and then I'm booking a trip away.
No, I don't. To be honest, the trips just come. I don't really like the trips. They just happen. And to be fair, like as I said, I know it's a personal joke between me and you, but I haven't actually been ready, to be fair. But it seems like whenever I was like saying, okay, I'm going away, and it just ended up on that call where I'd say that. So yeah, it's more like, I wouldn't say a milestone. It's more like in my head, I'm like, oh, I can do, like, for example, if I do X placement, I can look to book something for, let's say, January, and I'll put that aside. Like I already have, like, for example, if it's a 5k placement, for example, I'll be like, do you know what? If I do this and it's an extra, it's not something that it'll be a quick win. If I can do this, then maybe £800 go to a holiday, or I can buy this or whatnot. It just keeps someone motivated, because we got to realize that, of course, what you're doing it for, what your motives are, what is your why, but then also you need those quick kind of boosters as well to kind of keep you going, even if if you haven't reached that absolute end goal yet.
So where are you going next?
This
is it booked? Is it booked? That's what matters.
It is booked, but it's
Oh
not
my
a
God.
holiday, man. It's not a holiday. I have to visit my grandma back home. She's
That's a
quite.
holiday.
Say I'm working now. I booked out an office there for the 2 weeks that I'm there. But yeah, I really didn't want to go. Don't really have much family back home now, but my grandma is still there, and she's missing me a lot. So I got asked to go. So yeah, no, I thought the same as you. I was like, I don't, because as I said, there's not really many people there back home for me. Don't
It's
really have.
still very sweet of you to respond to your grandma's wishes like that as well.
Yeah,
That's
well,
nice.
she applies pressure on me, and I crumble under pressure. So I can't do what she came to the UK last summer, And basically, ever since she left my house in the UK, she's been like, "Well, when you coming?" And you can only withstand that pressure so long. So I thought, yeah, a couple of weeks with her. I'll work in the day and then spend time with her in the evening. Should be fine.
Enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. I think
Thank you very
it's a blessing to have that company. So just for the benefit of the viewers or listeners, where's back home, by the way?
much. So,
Pakistan. Nice.
fine,
Okay,
but
Kashmir on my side. We already know. We've spoken a few times.
yeah. Oh,
So
I'm originally from Kashmir, but where my grandma is and where my immediate family is in the capital, Islamabad. I will visit Kashmir as well for one day or 2 days. But yeah, there's not much family there. My mom and dad's side, there's a few. But yeah, it'll be good to visit.
So my next question was going to be like, what does success look to you now? But are you like kind of demonstrating that as you're going through the process, being able to now like travel abroad, go and see family, and at the pressure of your grandma off you are going away?
Yeah, I think, look, I can't say that's success because as I mentioned, that is like a booster. It's like something where I can enjoy whilst I'm going through the process, but it's not maybe where I want to be. And I think your targets and your goals change as kind of success comes in. As I said, like at the start, if I said like 2.5 years ago, you're going to be here, I would be like, brilliant. But like now I'm not happy with where I am. That's because I put pressure on myself. I want to be in X place by X time. That's what we were talking about yesterday, is like life can be quite miserable when you're going towards a goal. And when you reach that goal, you're like, oh, okay, where's the next goal? So you've got to keep yourself entertained in the middle of those goals. And my entertainment is, like going to see family, not having to kind of book annual leave for it, not having to say, oh yeah, like can I work from this place? Can I work from that place? Yeah, it obviously gives you freedom to do that.
A quick question as well before I move on to the next part. Why did you say yes to working with me?
I think it was a kind of very personal approach that you had. Like I think we connected very quickly and easily, and it wasn't a course that I was buying. I was buying into a group and your expertise. If you wanted to sell a course, you would have sold the one that's free on YouTube. Like it's not something that you're just trying to make as much money out of and not really give much information back.
You know, I gotta say, on that YouTube video, the most popular comment that I get was, I paid 5K
Yeah.
for information and this outperformed it. And I get that comment very regularly. I wasn't intending to, but people are gifting me money on that YouTube video in the comments, just saying like, thank you for this, was amazing. I'm like, did not expect that. But I genuinely put that together for somebody who literally has no understanding of recruitment, no idea what the hell's going on, and say, okay, cool, here's the full A to Z. This is the kind of stuff that everybody would pay for from a course perspective. Here it is, free.
I think I'll be completely honest with you, like in terms of the content, it is exactly the same. Or I haven't been through all of it, but what I've seen in terms of the headings, what you actually go through, it's basically exactly the same as what I paid for back then when I started my recruitment journey. But the only difference is that that's in a whole YouTube video, and the course is like split between different sections and whatnot, because obviously that's what you pay for. You don't pay for the YouTube, you don't pay for the video or the information. You pay for you pay for the information, but you pay for the organization, you pay for different kind of, I don't know how to really explain it, but it's just easier to navigate. But yeah, in terms of the actual content, Mohammed, it's very, very, very similar. So that's what I'm saying, where you could have even said, okay, well, if you buy that course for £500 and then you can come and chat to me, it still would have been good value. Like it still would have been decent value, because as the top comment you were mentioning, like 2 to 5K is the going kind of market rate for something like that. So you've just given it for free. So yeah, I think it's important.
Cool. I'll send you the invoice then, yeah.
Why not? How do you know I wasn't top comment? How do you know someone giving you donations on it? Listen,
Maybe you did. Maybe you did, then thank you. And
Ah.
whoever has, thank you. But it wasn't what I was expecting, and I didn't put that out there to collect any money from it whatsoever. So thank you for that anyway. What about now, though? So we're fast forwarding a few months of working together. You told us about what it was like before, but you went through the journey. Where's the business at now, and what are the next few steps for you?
Yeah, so it's at a place I'm content with at the moment. I'm not going to say it's like gone crazy and now I'm just like, I can't handle how much business I've got going on, but it's where I have a clear roadmap of what I need and what success looks like, and also how I can get there. That's up to now, how much work I want to put in, how much effort I want to put in to get there. But the roadmap is clear where it wasn't.
Okay, glad you've got clarity on the roadmap. But what about from a growth perspective? What is next? Like you've got what have you got set up now? You've got a load of automation set up, you've got a load of tools set up, you're still independent, but you planning on making hires,
Yeah.
or you're not there yet?
Apologies, I didn't get your question fully. So yeah, I think definitely from where I started to where I am now, automations have been implemented, have been used, have been benefited from, and I have a clearer approach when it comes to my business development, how I'm approaching clients, how I'm approaching candidates. Where I am now is I'm at a place where I am looking to hire a VA. We spoke about yesterday, a virtual assistant, to help me with a couple of tasks that, to be honest, one is like where I need a bit of help on, and then the other is where it's like if I can just let the VA do this, it would make my life a bit better. Because look, I'm not going to lie and say everything about recruitment and running a business is something that I love. So if I can get someone else to do it, then perfect. So yeah, I'm at that stage now where I can hire someone. When it comes to the VA work, and that will be in the next couple of weeks, I will be taking interviews and whatnot when it comes to that, and then kind of hopefully add another VA, and then hopefully like a full-time hire in the next kind of few months, 6 months, where I can get to that place where, yeah, I'm comfortable enough in my cash flow and whatnot, where that can all be possible.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see the updates, and I'm looking forward to continuing working with you on that as well.
Yep.
Amazing. Knowing what you know now, if you were to go right back to the beginning of starting your entire journey again, what would you do differently?
I really dislike like looking back at things and thinking, having regrets and thinking, I should have done that, should have done
No.
this. But I would have contacted you a lot sooner. I think if the first time we spoke, I just said, okay, let's do it. I basically wasted like 5 months of my time in my business, my time. Of course, like I was doing work and whatnot there, but it was kind of again like scattergun. It wasn't basically if I'd done this earlier, it would have made my life a lot easier. Yeah, so I would have contacted you earlier, and I don't know where I'd be if I did.
I appreciate you saying that. But what about from a practical perspective? Because you were somebody who had started the journey. You did some research. We had a conversation. You hung around on my social media. You watched a few of my videos. Obviously, there was still a little bit of a build up to it up until the moment that you agreed to work with me. But if we just take like a practical lesson, let's just say somebody has not contacted me or not come across me. Let's just say I don't exist at the moment. What advice would you give to that person where they're thinking, you know what, I'm going to kick this off, or I'm going to start it, or I'm looking to grow, if they might have already got going? What advice would you give to them?
Don't gas out too early. I think
Say
as a
don't.
gas out, don't.
This is West London slang. You're going to have to translate that.
Nah, it's not West London slang. Don't sprint and then, for example, like all your energy is gone. Like I think me and you had very similar experiences where we got our first placement quite early and then it wasn't anything after that. And it's like it I know it's such a cliche, but it is a marathon, not a sprint. Don't get tired too early. Don't get disheartened. Also, the other way, if you don't get a quick win, it's a process. Hold yourself accountable every single day that you're doing everything you can to reach that end goal, and it will come. There is no way. I think if you know what your process is and you know that process works for other people, there is no way it shouldn't work for you. If it's a tried and tested thing like what you offer, and if it isn't working, there is like 10, 20, 30 questions you can ask yourself before you start blaming the process. Ask yourself, are you doing this? Are you doing that? Really hold yourself accountable, because it's so hard, and I know it's so difficult to do that when you're a solopreneur, when you're out on your own, even if you're another person, like so hard to do that. But find a way to do that. Get like someone who's doing the same, a same journey as you. Maybe even get your parent or your partner to kind of keep yourself accountable. I know sometimes it can be embarrassing because it feels like you're in school, but sometimes you have to treat yourself like that. Like we don't have, the average person doesn't have the drive like a Musk has, a Bezos has, or whatnot, that they work like 18, 20 hours a day and they have like genius kind of ideas. Some of us guys are just average Joes, right? So you need to work as hard as you can, and yeah, keep yourself accountable. I'd say I think that's a definitely key piece of advice I would offer to anyone listening.
Okay, amazing. How would you describe the ROI that you've got?
I think great. I think even if it's not monetarily come right now, which it has, but let's just say it hasn't, I can now, if I stop speaking to you and let's say you move to another country, pack to all, I can say I'm retired.
Yeah.
I still got that information now where I can make a lot out of that. If it's not today, it could be tomorrow, it could be next year. I've got that information for life now. Even though, of course, things like automations, AI changes. However, when it comes to certain situations, I can now take that to whatever situation I want in the future. So I'll say the ROI is great, because I don't think you can put a price on something like experience something like, oh, I've been there before, this is what I've done and this is what happened, and this is what you do to kind of reach the outcome. I don't think you put a price on that, to be honest.
Amazing. Glad you feel positive about it. I've got a final few questions before we wrap this up. What would you say to somebody who is maybe on the fence, maybe even watching this video and thinking, should I not? Is this the right thing?
I'd say just, if you're in a similar situation as me, where you have some recruitment experience or you had some recruitment experience, especially if you are a business owner, recruitment business owner, and you're having the same issues as I was, candidate generation, client generation, getting placements, filling those placements, it's a no-brainer, to be honest. It's like, why wouldn't you? You're talking to a guy who's been there and done it. So what are you thinking about? I think the way I see it, and you know, with the conversations that I've had, price and things like that shouldn't be even a conversation to have, because it's like, are you confident that you can make 1, 2, 3, 10 placements with the information given? Yes. So why are you talking about the initial price, or why are you speaking about that? And I think I was guilty of that at the start, and I was like, oh, I'm in an hurry. But in the back of my head, I knew, I was like, well, one placement, I don't want to expose the pricing, but like that pays for it. So yeah, it might look like it's a bit, because that's the main, correct me if I'm wrong, Mohammed, that's the main pushback is, oh, but I don't know if I can afford it. Because if the price wasn't there, then they'd still kind of, if it was free and it was on YouTube, people would go for it. But it's more than just selling something. It's like more getting your buy-in, not just with cash, but also with your mind as well. Like, buying into this, it's like having a gym membership. If gym was free, I don't think, a lot of people might not go, but a lot of people say, oh, I paid £50 for the gym membership, so no, I'll have to go, I have to make use of it.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say pricing like is a really big panic moment for many people when they're on the call, or if they're making a decision and we agree to work with together. But that said, like if there's somebody who is really afraid of investing in themselves, or just doesn't have the belief or confidence in either in me or the process, or even after watching this video, then it just means that they haven't done enough research, and they probably just need to spend a little bit more time either on my YouTube or my socials and just like get familiar. Because like you say, like you mentioned earlier when we were talking about your experience on the call with me, like I'm not there to convince people to do this. That's like you need to be convinced of it. I'm just there to guide you to make sure that we're a good fit or not. And like you said earlier, we got on really well. That's actually a condition. Like I have to like the person that I'm working with, otherwise this isn't going to get anywhere. So I'm sure you've seen from the other peers in the group, like everyone's very nice, very likable, and very helpful as well. So I want to keep it that way.
Yeah, I thought, you know what, when you said that, like when we first started speaking, I was like, why does that make a difference? Like, really and truly. But if you like someone or not, you don't have to like someone in business, right? Just work with them. However, now kind of going through with it and being 6 months in your group, it's impossible if you can't get on with someone, because you have to speak to them every so often to try and help them. You have to ensure that they're taking advice and you're listening to them. And it's like, it's such a back and forth where we're not talking about like the normal workplace where, yeah, you might not like someone, but you'll work together to achieve an outcome. But this is so back and forth, and like being honest and kind of sharing feedback and things like that, where it's like you can't not get on with someone and then expect good outcomes or positive outcomes when it comes to this. You need to, even within the group and the synergy within the group, like you can't have like I wouldn't say a bad egg, but someone that just kind of disturbs all of that. But you need people that, it's not just you that helps, like it's other people that I know. We spoke about it yesterday, where I'm at the stage now where there's people that have just come in and they're new to either recruitment or they're new to running their own agency or whatnot, and like we help them as well, like people like me, Tyler, etc. Like it's like, okay, if you want to ask a question about one of the automations, that might have been a question that we had to ask 6 months ago, but now we can just answer them as well. We're kind of happy to help when it comes to that as well.
It's very kind of you to offer that kind of support as well. Is there any advice that you would give them, by the way? People who are just brand new into the program and maybe they haven't seen like the first little bit of success.
I think it will be the same advice as I gave, like the general one, where it's a marathon, not a sprint. So do everything you need to do. Hold yourself accountable every single day. Don't wait for you to say, have you done this? Have you done that? Even though you do say that, and that's part of the role, but you're not a teacher. You're not someone who's going to be like, well, if you don't do it, you're going to get detention. Even though it feels like sometimes the amount we make affects you, but obviously that makes no difference. My revenue doesn't make any difference to you. However, you're obviously invested in us and you want us to do well. So yeah, like if you show half the amount of passion for yourself doing well as you show with others doing well, it'll be fine.
I'm looking forward to having more conversations with some of the people that might have just started, and then when they're in a similar position to you, then we'll be having a conversation with them as well. And it might even be somebody who's watching this video who might just be on the fence, and now they've decided, okay, cool, this is everything that I wanted to hear. So is there any, just on reflection as well, is there anything that you've wished, like, I wish I never did that? This could be tactical. This is like my final question. This could be tactical. This could be like an experimental thing that you did from a recruitment business perspective. Like anything that you look back on, you think, you know what, I wish I just didn't even bother with that.
Something that I didn't bother. I think certain approaches to getting clients. I think some of them will be like, that's a massive waste of time. Like I told you, I done a lot of different, I had a lot of different kind of processes when it came to that. A lot of different strategies. Some strategies were like that wasted months and so much time. But the thing is, I don't mind because that I had to tick that off. I had to know that that wasn't for me, or that wasn't.
You
that
had to,
wasn't
because you believed whatever those strategies were. Could you give some examples?
Yeah, just kind of, this is something that we do with automation, but it's something like literally manually messaging 100 people on LinkedIn and things like that, and literally just messaging like, hey, how you doing? Something like that, or how's business? And it's like, okay, cool, you might get, and it works. Like some people, like to be honest, it works generally, but again, it's like the scattergun approach. It's like you're messaging 100 people, for example, and you're getting 20 replies. But even in those 20 replies, 10 of them will give you another reply. And even in that 10, you got to think about the conversation you're actually having. The conversation you're actually having is just a hi, hello. And then they drop off and then you probably get one, like out of 100 or whatnot, that might want to speak to you, but then they don't have a placement. They're not a decision maker, and also they might not even be the right person to speak to. So yeah, I think maybe that kind of approach.
That's it. Cool, man. Chan, we're gonna wrap up. Is there anything else that you wanna say, comment at all as we wrap this up?
No, I think just if I'm speaking to me 8 months ago who was watching one of these, I'd probably just say do it. Like, make sure you're confident with it. Do your own research. Don't think that. I think some people join a call, go on a call, and expect to be sold something. It's not going to happen. Do your own research. Make sure you're confident with what kind of is being offered here. Make sure you are confident you can actually do it as well. As I said, it's work as well. Don't think that you're going to press a button, pay the money, and then your agency is going to go to making 30k a month. Impossible. It doesn't work like that. It's hard work that goes into it. So yeah, make sure that you're confident with what's being offered. Make sure you can do what's being offered, and then yeah, if it aligns with your kind of goals and what you want to do, then I say there's no reason why you wouldn't do it.
Perfect. Thank you for saying that. And Sean, look forward to speaking with you again on a call pretty soon, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds for you and your business as well.
So Maya, thank you very much.
And let us know how the trip goes when you go to see your grandma as well.
Yeah, I'm sure, and I'll tell you how it is, and then I'll be booking my next one whilst I'm out there as well, because that doesn't count as a holiday. So
Yeah, that
get to
doesn't
do
count.
another. We'll go on one together. Don't worry.